Our company, Kodo, is a performing arts ensemble based here on Sado Island in Niigata, Japan. We tour throughout Japan and around the world giving performances centered on playing taiko, traditional Japanese drums. Under the theme One Earth, Kodo's mission is to bring the sound of taiko to all corners of the globe, our music and message resonating with myriad cultures and ways of life as we explore the limitless possibilities of taiko. Through our encounters with arts and artists worldwide, we constantly expand our forms of expression. In recent years, Kodo has been working to create a new production with world-renowned director Robert Lepage, which was set to premiere in May 2020. However, this new work, Nova, that Lepage and Kodo created together was cancelled due to the global spread of COVID-19. Right before its completion, this work suddenly disappeared. I reflected on the creative process as I looked back over the archival videos.
C'est-à-dire que j'ai toujours été conscient que de travailler avec Kodo, ça m'obligerait à entrer dans une sphère ou dans un parcours qui serait très nouveau pour moi. J'ai tendance à accepter les challenges, les défis. J'ai travaillé beaucoup dans le monde du théâtre, de l'opéra, du cirque, j'ai fait de la danse même. J'ai travaillé dans le monde du rock'n'roll et à chaque fois, ça a toujours été des défis ou des rencontres avec des gens remarquables et c'est toujours pour moi une occasion d'apprentissage. Alors évidemment, Kodo, je savais qu'il faudrait inventer notre collaboration, que ce ne serait pas une chose évidente, que ça m'obligerait à essayer de percer le mystère de Kodo, d'essayer de comprendre comment les choses fonctionnent et comment je peux, moi, apporter quelque chose à ce groupe qui m'apporte déjà beaucoup. C'est vraiment un grand défi.
I was first approached about taking on the role of musical director for this project exactly 1 year before phase 1 of its creation. When I heard Lepage's name, the first thing that came to mind was a Cirque du Soleil performance I saw in Las Vegas. When I imagined the process of creating a production of that scale, my heart suddenly started to beat faster. One year after I first heard about this collaboration, the creative process began. Phase 1 took place at our home base, Kodo's rehearsal hall. It was there that we first met Robert Lepage and the staff from his company, Machina. Machina is the technical team that supports Lepage's creative work and brings his ideas to life. Soon after they arrived, Lepage showed an interest in the different instruments we use. Kodo has Japanese drums, of course, and an array of folk instruments collected from all over the world. We all gathered together in a circle and briefly introduced ourselves. There were more people involved in this project than I've ever experienced working with before. I could sense the scale of this production from the large team, and with that, we began our presentations for each other. I had devised the content for Kodo to present that day. I wanted to share with our collaborators the physicality and spirituality that Kodo has honed to date. I also wanted to share Kodo's continued quest to uncover the possibilities of taiko from an array of angles. We showed them a range of pieces, from the signature pieces Kodo has performed for decades, to our latest pieces that we've yet to share with the world. I hope that through creating this work, we'd be able to enter new territory, places we never reach working alone.
Thank you very much. You want to translate for me?
Yes,
Okay.
of course.
Yeah, thank you everybody. This has been absolutely very stimulating for us. You've all been very, very generous today.
Lepage talked to us about the themes of this work and the overall concepts he had in mind.
My very early ideas were very embryonic, and I tried to listen very carefully to what were the demands of the people from Kodo. There seemed to be this preoccupation that Kodo is a world of sound, of rhythm, of music, and though the productions are very colorful and very much lively, Kodo is less obsessed by image, of course. So I thought maybe this would be a good base for a starting point to see how the world of imagery could meet the world of sound.
Some of the key concepts he proposed were the Big Bang, from chaos to harmony, nature and humanity, destruction and regeneration, cymatics, and the visualization of sound. They were such huge themes, so at first I couldn't imagine how I was going to start creating sound for this work.
The stick goes where you want it to go and not the contrary.
棒はあなたが行きたい方向に向けて。
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
3, 2, 1, now. 'C'est-à-dire qu'il n'y a pas nécessairement un thème, il y a plutôt une ressource. C'est que il y a cette expression quand on parle du Big Bang. Le Big Bang, moi je pense à Kodo parce que les tambours sont gros, donc Big et Bang à cause qu'ils font beaucoup de bruit. Mais aussi ce que le Big Bang veut dire. Alors le Big Bang, c'est un moment de déchirement. Hein, c'est un moment très très cruel, finalement, de très violent, la création du monde. Mais c'est aussi un moment de création. Moi, c'est ce qui me motive et je pense qu'on a quelque chose à dire là-dessus. Et je pense que la culture japonaise et le peuple japonais est un peuple qui a vécu beaucoup justement de déchirements, qui a vécu beaucoup de tragédies, qui a vécu beaucoup de catastrophes, mais qui, dans ça, réussit toujours à émaner une culture très pacifique, très productive, très innovatrice. Et ça, c'est remarquable. Et je pense que il y a quelque chose à dire avec notre spectacle sur ça.
For the rest of Phase 1, we tried out the various artistic experiments that Lepage had brought along with him, one at a time.
Évidemment, c'est sûr que ça demande un travail d'une grande concentration et c'est un groupe qui est très discipliné. Alors, ça demande chez tout créateur qui ne fait pas partie du groupe Kodo de faire preuve d'une certaine discipline et d'une certaine rigueur. Alors moi, j'ai trouvé ça très stimulant.
As I listened to Lepage talk, and as we tried out the technology that enables his artistic direction, little by little, images of sound started coming to me. A couple of months later, Kodo received mood boards from Lepage. They contained the themes and concepts that emerged from our experiments together during Phase 1, depicted with words and images. Basing sound creation on these mood boards felt really new to me. For Phase 2, Kodo traveled to Quebec City in Canada. The creation in Quebec took place at the Black Box, Lepage's Ex Machina studio.
Je pense qu'il est vide, quoi.
Ouais, le playback.
This is my house. I'm very excited. We've been thinking a lot about this project since we last met on Sado Island. Steve and I have worked on some mood boards and all that, of course, that we've sent you. But of course, since then, we've been developing also new ideas, new things. I hope that you understand that this week, like the same way that we did on Sado Island, is a week of experimentation. There's not a lot of decision taking this week. I think this feel very free to suggest and propose things. This is why we're meeting.
In Phase 2, Lepage, Ex Machina, and Kodo started by showing each other what we prepared for this phase. At that time, we felt a unique sense of pressure, unlike the usual nerves we feel on stage. Did this approach suit what Lepage had in mind? I had no way of knowing. If what we prepared so far was off track, I was worried how we're going to get things on track. Some elements were as Lepage had imagined. Others, he said he definitely wanted to incorporate. And I saw the new flavor and view of the world that Lepage added to my music. This presentation ended up really propelling the creation forward. Take this scene, for instance. It shows him doing just that. Lepage, inspired by my music, adding his fresh perspective. We had 2 drummers on each taiko, with one beating the drum, and the other altering the sound by pressing their hands and sticks on the drumhead and taking them off. I had merely suggested it would be interesting to be able to see the changes in sound. After he heard the piece, the first words out of Lepage's mouth were, "It's rain." Acting upon Lepage's intuitive image, the Ex Machina technical team projected a background of rain. They then added projection mapping-like technology with raindrops that reacted to our sound. When we played within it, it really conjured a world of its own. This process was very creative and exciting. As we repeated this kind of dialogue, we created a story together.
Celui qui va donner le coup à la place sur le camp.
Only 4 drummers. Yes, listening to the waveform.
危険性が全然
Évidemment, c'est de confirmer les intuitions de la phase 1, ça c'est sûr, mais c'est surtout vu qu'on est dans notre laboratoire ici à Ex Machina, qui est un laboratoire où on travaille beaucoup avec les hautes technologies et où on est plus obsédé par l'image. Donc, on essaie, c'est quand même une grande rencontre pour nous entre le son et l'image, ce projet-là. Donc, on essaie de trouver, si on veut, un troisième lieu qui, lui, est l'incarnation entre la collaboration musicale, sonore de Kodo et l'aspect plus visuel, si on veut, et chorégraphique de Ex Machina. Et là, on essaie de trouver le point de rencontre. Et on croit que c'est dans un contexte comme celui-ci que ça va se produire.
De 実際に戦っている型があって、もう一つは実際に戦うでカオスです。
Another keyword was civilization. Using taiko, a primitive instrument, how could I portray the somewhat cold, sophisticated feel of civilization? While I was brainstorming, I somehow landed on the idea of the act of building a structure. To construct it, I needed to calculate the right angles, and that's when I first learned about the simple Pythagoras triple with the numbers 3, 4, and 5. For this piece, I layered rhythms in 3, 4, and 5, so every moment sounded like an array of rhythms. The piece became like a prism of sound. In the 4 months leading up to Phase 3, Kodo was on tour and we were giving performances around the world. In whatever spare time we could find, we were composing and rehearsing for Nova.
Welcome back to Quebec. For those who weren't there the last time, welcome for the first time. It's good. You'll see it's very easy going here. So, of course, the work that we have to accomplish in the next 5 days, it's a big elephant, but the way to eat a big elephant is one slice at a time. So.
As the creation progressed, the various scenes that had seemed fragmentary until now transformed into one big story.
So the birds are not just they're not just birds. They're the first incarnation of life, animal life, in most mythologies.
It was a process of input and output, taking in the story that Lepage wanted to tell and letting that pour out of us, transformed into music. As we experienced this process as performers, we felt, thought, and learned so many things.
In storytelling, there's always an action, a reaction, and a reconciliation. So that's pretty much how we want to create the storyline. Community of people, of men and women, who work together and later who fight each other, which is, I think, it's an interesting thing to establish the celebratory aspect of these dances. Éventuellement vont le faire, c'est ça? Ah, okay, I understand. The spiritual world and the scientific world are in two opposite directions. With the cymatics, there's the hope that these things can dialogue together. So that's why I think that we have to continue trying to push and find how to introduce it on the stage. It's just that what first part of the show, we call it the moon era, and we associate it to silver. And the second part of the show, after the interval, is associated to the sun, and it's the gold era.
This work is neither a play nor a concert. It's not a circus or a ballet. It's a stage production that harnesses cutting-edge technology. No one has ever seen anything like it. It's filled with so many different elements that I wonder what you call the core of this work. From Phase 4, we moved our creation to Lepage's newly built theater, Le Diamant. Each time we were reunited with the Ex Machina staff, we felt ourselves growing closer together. With each reunion, the atmosphere at the creation sessions brimmed with more warmth and creativity.
Audience eye will always look, they always look at the magic first, even if they don't, so they go,
The connections between all of us bound the whole work more strongly together. You could feel that every one of us wanted to make this work become something great.
Quand il joue haut, il faudrait juste replacer.
So the energy is a big chaos, people are speaking and laughing, and of course, Japanese audience are more quieter. But maybe we give them bento box and they eat it. But it's in general more reserved. But still, I think the whole thing is for it, because that first piece, what's interesting is that it's very chaotic, and then suddenly it organizes itself, and it becomes something very precise. So it's good to start from the chaos of the energy of the room.
Towards the end of Phase 4, Nova came together as a whole story for the first time. This ended up being our first and last run-through rehearsal. From the Big Bang, the universe emerges. Nature was created by the universe, and living beings and humans emerge from within nature. Communities are formed, and the perception of us and them takes shape. And that becomes the genesis for war. Through long conflicts accompanied by great sacrifices, civilization is established over time. But that too doesn't last forever. An unexpected anomaly causes civilization to topple. Nature swallows up civilization, and as humans learn to coexist, the regeneration begins.
That all elements, all ideas, all projects, all musical pieces in themselves are quite interesting. When you put them together, they mean something else. And that's also part of the thing. Now we're at that point where everything is being put together in one big sequence, and it suddenly says things you didn't expect it to say. Some wonderful things, and some things we say, well, maybe we don't want that to come. So that we're at that point. But I have to say, I'm very enthusiastic by what the work that has been accomplished, certainly in this phase, because there's too much of a good thing.
Creating a production with Lepage taught us many things. He showed us how to make a production and devise its flow, to be quick-witted during the creative process with curiosity and humor, to take an interest in ideas, no matter how trivial, and to give them a go. Lepage gave Kodo a lot of stimulus and motivation. Creating Nova made me reconsider the possibilities of music and performing arts. And now, with what's happening in the world, I see a surprising overlap between our reality and the scene depicted in Nova, where civilization is destroyed by a single anomaly. It's hard to think it's a coincidence. Moving forward, how should we regenerate? In a year like 2020, the year Nova was about to emerge, I can feel the necessity of this work all the more. After all our work to create Nova, it only got to leave an impact on us. I'm sure we will unconsciously transform this work into new forms of artistic output as we move forward. The invaluable time we spent with Robert Lepage creating this work is something we will never, ever forget.